Rock and roll in the 1970s wasn't afraid to push boundaries. Sometimes it pushed too far, at least according to the censors. The BBC banned songs, American stations pulled tracks off the air, and artists found themselves re-recording lyrics just to get played. These are 10 banned rock songs from the 70s you've never heard. Number 10, Lola by the Kinks. The Kinks released Lola in June 1970, and it told a story that most radio programmers had never encountered before. Ray Davies wrote about meeting someone in a Soho club who walked like a woman but talked like a man. The song dealt with gender fluidity and transgender identity at a time when those topics simply didn't appear in mainstream music. Surprisingly, that wasn't what got the song banned. The BBC took issue with a different line entirely. Davies sang about drinking champagne that tasted just like Coca-Cola, and the BBC had strict rules against product placement. They refused to play the track. The Kinks were in the middle of an American tour when they got the news. Ray Davies had to interrupt the tour, fly 6,000 miles from New York to London, and re-record that one line. He changed Coca-Cola to Cherry Cola. The first attempt didn't satisfy him, so he flew back to finish the American show in Chicago, then returned to London again to get it right. The hassle paid off. Lola reached number 2 in the UK and number 9 in America. Australian radio stations banned it completely because of the subject matter, but most places embraced it. The song became one of the Kinks' most enduring hits and revived their career after years of fading popularity in the States. Number 9, Walk on the Wild Side by Lou Reed. Lou Reed's 1972 single from the album Transformer remains one of the most remarkable cases of a song slipping past censors. Produced by David Bowie and Mick Ronson, the track told stories about people from Andy Warhol's factory scene in New York.
Say, babe, take a walk on the wild side.
Holly Woodlawn, Candy Darling, Joe D'Alessandro, Jackie Curtis, and Joe Campbell all appeared in the verses. Reed described their lives with frank detail. Holly was transgender, hitchhiking to New York and learning to pluck her eyebrows. Candy was a transgender actress. The song referenced prostitution, drug use, and oral sex. One line described someone who never lost her head, even when giving head.
Take a walk on the wild side, honey.
RCA Records provided radio stations with an edited version that removed the oral sex reference and changed the line about colored girls. Most stations ignored the edit and played the original version anyway. The BBC played it without censorship because, according to legend, the censors didn't understand what the slang meant.
And the colored girls go do-do-do, do-do, do-do-do, do-do-do.
The song peaked at number 16 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 10 in the UK. Reed had struggled as a solo artist after leaving the Velvet Underground. This track became his signature song and his biggest commercial success. It introduced mainstream audiences to characters and lifestyles they'd never heard about in rock music before. Number 8, God Save the Queen by Sex Pistols.
God save the Queen! She ain't no human being!
Time to coincide with Queen Elizabeth II's Silver Jubilee celebration. While the nation prepared to honor 25 years of her reign, the band released a song calling the monarchy a fascist regime and declaring there was no future in England's dreaming. The BBC banned it immediately. Many retail shops refused to stock it. Some pressing plants wouldn't manufacture it. Independent record shops that did carry it faced harassment. The song became number 1 on the NME charts, but mysteriously appeared at number 2 on the official UK singles chart, despite reportedly outselling the Rod Stewart song that held the top spot. Radio 1 controller Charles McClellan called the track in gross bad taste. The Workers' Revolutionary Party bought 25,000 copies and distributed them for free. Thames Riverboat Company executives kicked the Sex Pistols off a boat during a promotional party on the river, and police arrested several band members and manager Malcolm McLaren.
No future for you!
The controversy made the Sex Pistols into legends. God Save the Queen became the definitive punk rock statement. an anthem for disaffected British youth. The establishment tried to suppress it, which only made it more powerful. Young people bought it anyway, played it anyway, and made it impossible to ignore.
God save the Queen. She ain't no human being.
Number 7. Tonight's the Night by Rod Stewart.
Tonight's the night.
Rod Stewart recorded Tonight's the Night at Muscle Shoals Sound Studio in Alabama in 1976. The song appeared on his album A Night on the Town, and it left very little to the imagination. Stewart sang about seduction, about spreading wings and letting him come inside. He told his virgin child to let inhibitions run wild. The BBC banned it. Reverend Jesse Jackson protested it. Many American radio stations refused to play it or heavily edited it, removing girlfriend Britt Ekland's French whispers at the end. Some stations faded the song out before the more explicit verses.
Tonight's the night.
Despite the bans and protests, Tonight's the Night became Stewart's biggest hit. It debuted at number 81 on the Billboard Hot 100 in October 1976, then climbed to number 1 by mid-November. It stayed at the top for 8 consecutive weeks, the longest run for any song in 1976 and the longest since the Beatles' Hey Jude in 1968. The album reached number 2 in America and number 1 in the UK. The controversy probably helped rather than hurt. People wanted to hear what all the fuss was about. Stewart had written a seduction song that was too honest for radio censors, but perfect for the record-buying public.
Tonight's the night.
Number 6. Brown Sugar by the Rolling Stones.
Brown sugar, how come you taste so good?
The Rolling Stones released Brown Sugar in 1971, and it became one of their most popular songs. It also became one of their most problematic. The lyrics referenced slavery, sexual violence, and racial themes in ways that made listeners uncomfortable even at the time.
Brown sugar, just like a young girl should.
Mick Jagger sang about a woman sold in a market in New Orleans, scarred old slaver knowing he was doing right. The song mixed historical atrocity with sexual content in ways that seemed deliberately provocative. Some lines were difficult to defend under any interpretation.
Brown sugar, how come you taste so good?
Many radio stations banned it or restricted it to late-night airplay. Others edited it heavily. The Stones themselves later acknowledged the song's issues. In recent years, they've stopped performing it live. Jagger said in interviews that the lyrics wouldn't work now and that they'd evolved past that material. But in 1971, Brown Sugar went to number 1 in America and number 2 in the UK. It became a staple of classic rock radio for decades. The controversy grew over time rather than fading. What seemed edgy in 1971 came to feel offensive as cultural attitudes changed. The song remains popular despite its problematic content, a reminder of how differently the 1970s viewed issues of race and representation.
Brown sugar, how come you taste so good?
Number 5. Love to Love You Baby by Donna Summer. Donna Summer's 1975 disco track Love to Love You Baby pushed boundaries in a different way. The original version ran 17 minutes long and featured Summer's moaning, groaning, and simulated orgasm sounds throughout. Producer Giorgio Moroder recorded her in dim lighting to help her feel comfortable making the erotic sounds. The BBC banned it. American radio stations that played it faced complaints. Some stations aired it only late at night. Others refused to play it at all. Religious groups condemned it. The controversy made headlines. Casablanca Records released a shorter radio edit, but even that version proved too much for conservative programmers. The song's success came despite the bans, not because radio embraced it. Clubs played the full 17-minute version, and people bought the album to hear what radio wouldn't play. Love to Love You Baby reached number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100. It established Summer as the queen of disco and pioneered the extended disco single format. The song proved that controversy and commercial success could coexist. Radio bands couldn't stop a song that people wanted to hear. They just forced listeners to find it somewhere else. Number 4, Imagine by John Lennon.
Imagine all the people.
John Lennon released Imagine on October 11th, 1971, and it became one of the most enduring songs in popular music. He recorded it at his home studio in Tittenhurst Park with producer Phil Spector, completing the track in a single session that May. The lyrics asked listeners to imagine no heaven, no countries, no religion, no possessions. Lennon later described it as anti-religious, anti-nationalistic, anti-conventional, and anti-capitalistic, calling it virtually the Communist Manifesto with sugarcoating. The song faced resistance from the start. Conservative religious groups objected to the atheistic themes. When Lennon sang about imagining no heaven, churches and religious organizations condemned it as an attack on Christianity itself. South Africa banned Lennon's solo material entirely, viewing it as dangerous and anti-religious. Political groups on both sides found problems with it. Some thought it was communist propaganda. Others dismissed it as naive hippie idealism. Lennon knew exactly what he was doing. He told interviewers that he'd learned how to put his political message across with a little honey. The gentle piano melody and his soft vocals disguised what was essentially a revolutionary manifesto. He called it an ad campaign for peace, but it was asking people to dismantle every structure that organized their lives.
Imagine all the people.
The song became Lennon's best-selling solo single, reaching number 3 in America and number 1 in Canada. The album went to number 1 in the UK. Former President Jimmy Carter later said it was played almost equally with national anthems around the world. The bans came in waves over the decades. During the 1991 Gulf War, the BBC banned Imagine because it contradicted Britain's patriotic messaging during wartime. After September 11, 2001, Clear Channel Communications added it to their list of songs radio stations shouldn't play. The company felt the anti-nationalist message conflicted with American unity during the War on Terror. Despite periodic bans and ongoing controversy, musicians kept reaching for it. Neil Young sang it at the America Tribute to Heroes concert after 9/11. Coldplay performed it after terrorist attacks in Paris in 2015. Korean musicians played it at the 2018 Winter Olympics opening ceremony. The song has become impossible to suppress. The simplicity of the melody allowed the radical message to reach people who might have rejected it in a more aggressive package. And that gentle subversion made it more powerful than any protest song that shouted its intentions. Number 3, Ohio by Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young.
How can you run when you know?
Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young recorded Ohio on May 21, 1970, just 17 days after National Guard troops shot and killed 4 student protesters at Kent State University. Neil Young wrote the song after David Crosby showed him the May 15th issue of Life magazine, which featured photographer John Philo's Pulitzer Prize-winning image of a young woman kneeling over a dead student's body. Young disappeared into the woods with his guitar. A few hours later, he returned with the song completed. The band booked studio time at Record Plant in Hollywood and cut the track in just 3 takes. The single was released wrapped in a sleeve that printed the First Amendment to the Constitution, a deliberate statement about freedom of speech. The lyrics directly criticized the Nixon administration and the Vietnam War. Young sang about tin soldiers and Nixon coming, about 4 dead in Ohio. David Crosby later called keeping Nixon's name in the song the bravest thing he'd ever heard. The song accused the government of murder and called out Americans for allowing it to happen.
Nixon coming, we're finally on.
Radio stations received the single within 3 weeks of the Kent State shootings. Governor James Rhodes of Ohio asked stations not to play it. Many AM radio stations refused, particularly in Ohio itself. Others banned it because it directly challenged the Nixon administration. The song was too immediate, too angry, too explicitly political. FM and underground stations picked it up instead and played it constantly. Ohio reached number 14 on the Billboard Hot 100 despite the bans. It charted by the end of June and hit the top 40 by July 11th. All while the band's other single, Teach Your Children, was still in heavy rotation. The song became an anthem for the anti-war movement and gave Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young a status as spokesman for their generation. The directness that got it banned was precisely what made it powerful. Young didn't use metaphors or soften his message. He said exactly what he meant, and millions of people responded to that honesty.
How can you run when you know?
Number 2. The Pill by Loretta Lynn. Loretta Lynn released The Pill in 1975, 2 years after Roe v. Wade legalized abortion nationwide. The country song celebrated birth control and women's reproductive freedom. Lynn sang about how the pill had stopped the baby blues and given women choices about their bodies and lives.
This chicken your last time, 'cause now I've got the pill.
The song had actually been recorded 3 years earlier in 1972. Her record label kept it locked away, knowing the controversy it would cause. When they finally released it in 1975, their fears proved justified. Around 60 country radio stations across America refused to play it. The audience for country music in 1975 skewed conservative, and station managers feared listener backlash. A preacher in West Liberty, Kentucky devoted an entire sermon to denouncing Lynn and the song. Religious groups objected to the subject matter. Some saw it as promoting promiscuity. What the critics missed was that the song wasn't about casual relationships. It was about a married woman arguing with her husband about having more children. Lynn herself had married young and had 4 children before she turned 18. She understood the exhaustion and the burden.
Make it up for all those years since I've got the pill.
The Grand Ole Opry nearly banned her from performing it. Lynn sang it 3 times there one night, and the Opry held a 3-hour meeting about whether to allow it. She told Playgirl magazine that if they'd banned the song, she would have quit the Opry entirely. They backed down. Lynn was already one of the biggest stars in country music when she released the song, but the bans limited how high it could climb. It reached number 5 on the country charts when her songs typically went top 3 or hit number 1. But something unexpected happened. Despite minimal airplay on country stations, the song sold 15,000 copies per week. That Kentucky preacher who condemned it from his pulpit sent much of his congregation scurrying out to buy the record.
You worry not, 'cause mama's got the pill.
The song crossed over to the pop charts, something Lynn's music rarely did. It reached number 70 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became her highest charting pop single. In Canada, where radio stations were more accepting, it went all the way to number 1. Doctors from rural areas told Lynn the song did more to promote acceptance of birth control than any public health campaign had managed. The Pill became one of Lynn's signature songs and one of the 14 tracks she had banned during her career. It demonstrated her willingness to address topics that other country artists avoided. The ban reflected the cultural divisions of the mid-1970s, when the women's liberation movement clashed with traditional values in American culture. Lynn chose a side and accepted the consequences, and her honesty resonated with women who needed to hear that message most.
Turn down your brooder house, 'cause now I've got the pill.
Number 1. Star Star by the Rolling Stones. The Rolling Stones originally titled this song with a 4-letter word that starts with F and rhymes with trucker. They recorded it in late 1972 during sessions at Dynamic Sound Studio in Kingston, Jamaica, just before Christmas. The track appeared on their 1973 album Goat's Head Soup under the title Starfucker, but Atlantic Records owner Amit Erdogan insisted they change it before release. The band reluctantly agreed to call it Star Star for radio purposes. That didn't help much. The chorus repeated the original word over and over, making the renamed title foolish. Mick Jagger sang it loud and clear throughout the song. The lyrics described groupies and celebrities with crude detail, mentioning John Wayne and Steve McQueen by name, in ways that left nothing to interpretation. The BBC banned it on September 10, 1973, though not before playing it once during a late-night news segment about the band's Wembley concerts. Most radio stations in America and elsewhere simply refused to play it. The few that attempted to air it heavily edited or bleeped so much that the song became incomprehensible. Feminist groups criticized the track for its portrayal of women. Jagger defended himself by saying he was writing about someone he knew, but his comments on tour that year didn't help his case. During the 1975 tour, the band performed Star Star, with a giant inflatable penis on stage that Jagger would ride during the song. The spectacle guaranteed that the controversy never died down. The Stones knew exactly what they were creating. This wasn't an accidental misstep. They wrote a song designed to provoke censors and push boundaries as far as they would go. Star Star never charted as a single in major markets. It was released as a single only in select European countries like Germany, France, and Portugal, with limited success. In most places, it remained an album track, known to Stones fans but absent from mainstream radio. The song added to the band's reputation for decadence and controversy at a time when Goat's Head Soup itself received mixed reviews for being less cohesive than Exile on Main Saint. They didn't need Star Star to be a hit. The album went to #1 anyway, powered by Angie, which topped charts worldwide. The Stones already had plenty of commercial success. This song existed purely to be outrageous, to see how far they could push before someone stopped them. It succeeded completely in that mission, cementing their image as rock and roll's most dangerous band, even as they entered their second decade of fame. These 10 songs represent moments when rock music collided with social boundaries and won. The bands didn't silence them. In most cases, controversy made them more popular. Radio censors and moral guardians tried to protect audiences from explicit content, political messages, and uncomfortable truths. The audiences went around them and found the music anyway. The 1970s marked a turning point in popular music. Artists pushed further than ever before, testing limits on sexuality, politics, religion, and social norms. Some songs seem tame now. Others remain controversial. All of them show what happens when musicians refuse to compromise their vision, even when that vision gets them banned. If you enjoyed learning about these controversial classics from the 70s, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more stories about the music that changed the world.